about it. Think about it.
Yeah, welcome back to High School Basketball Weekly, our final show of this 2021-2022 high school basketball season, Rick, and it just seems like yesterday that we were kicking off the season here in Berkshire County in Western Massachusetts, and it's been a great season to say the least.
Well, especially, you're so right, especially coming off a season where the kids did participate with the exception of Mccann Tech locally, and you know, we missed it a lot last year. You know, you got to see it on YouTube a little bit, but we weren't able to cover the games. We weren't able to see the kids. It was a modified type MIAA action last year, so it was a little bit difficult. So it's back to some normality. And in some of the schools, the masks weren't required. Other schools, they were. Then they came off the end of the season, and it really felt normal again. But it's a bittersweet time of year because I say this at our last High School Basketball Weekly show every year, which is, you know it's mid-March and it's time to close shop here for high school basketball season. But the better weather's coming, so there's a little light at the end of the tunnel for everybody.
No question about it. And we're going to jump into it, Rick, and talk. The only team that was playing this past week, of course, was the Hoosick Valley Lady Hurricanes. They competed for the Division V state championship, their third appearance in a row, so to speak, in that title game. And they came up on the short end here at the Tsongas Center in Lowell. I was there along with Peter Gentile to cover the game. It'll be shown here on Northern Berkshire Community Television. Just check the listings for the rebroadcast of that game. But they came up short to a very solid Hopedale squad, falling 55-45. And of course, Hopedale, the talk of the Division V girls tournament was Hopedale's outstanding senior, Bree Frangillo, who is headed to Bryant College. And she's a 2,000-point scorer, Rick. And let me tell you, she lived up to the billing. No question, one of the finer high school basketball players, girl basketball players that I've seen in some time. She could handle the ball. She was quick. She could drive. And she was an outstanding shooter. And she played a big role in this game for Hopedale. But Hoosick Valley, they controlled her to a large degree, Rick. She did finish with 23 points for Hopedale. You're not going to shut somebody like Bree Frangillo out. But the real story of the game for Hopedale, in my opinion, was the 8th grader, Phoebe Carroll, who contributed 11 points and really it was a big presence on the board with 23 rebounds. So as we've covered these games over the years, Rick, we know the good players are going to be perform as they usually do, but you're always looking for that other player who chips in. In this case, it was Phoebe Carroll, Rick.
Yeah, and Tim, when I was getting updates of that game that you were doing on Sunday in Lowell, I was thinking, you know, if you can contain her, you don't stop her. You can't stop a basketball player like that. But if you could contain her, and you've got an 8th grader, you know, maybe the pressure would get to her, and evidently it didn't. But the impressive thing, and I haven't seen a box score of Hopedale. I've only seen Hoosick Valley's box score. But they got contributions up and down that team. So if Bree Frangillo was held to 5 points under her average, and the 8th grader only scored 11. Of course, 11 an 8th grader with 23 rebounds is pretty incredible. But they got contributions from other kids. And then, you know, Hoosick Valley, you know, they got contributions, you know, from Rylan Wittick and Avery McGrath. And the scoring from there seemed to subside a little bit. But that's got to be one heck of a Hopedale squad to beat Hoosick Valley by 10.
Right, and Hoosick Valley was in this game throughout. It was back and forth. They never had a lead in this game, yet they came very close on a couple of occasions. And in the words of Coach Holly McGovern, they could never get over the hump, so to speak, and take the lead. At one point, they were down by 1 in the third quarter. But Hopedale came back and got 2 big threes by Lila Casey and Frangillo to extend the lead back to 7. And from there on, Hopedale hung on the rest of the game. But kudos to the Lady Hurricanes. Again, another outstanding season, finishing as the runner-up in Division V. Nothing to be ashamed of. They ended up with a record of 22-4. Rick, co-champs of the Suburban League with Amherst. And they were the Western Mass Class D champions. They were ranked number 1 all season long in Division 5 by the MIAA. They're going to lose a couple of great players, 1,000-point scorer in Avery McGrath and Rylan Wittick, who really, Rick, I think is a very, very complete basketball player. She plays great defense as an offensive player as well, good athlete. And so her along with Alyssa Garabedian, who's also a senior, she's going to be leaving. But she's got some good talent coming back, Rick.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with Taylor Garabedian underneath. She's very strong. Gabby Billets, very, very underrated role player. She's a post player, and you'll see her step up in double figures next year in points, I'm sure. You're going to see some double-doubles from Gabby Billets next year. Very impressed with Ashley LaSure, their point guard. And you know, yeah, you're going to have to start with those three and go from there. And then Coach McGovern's got some kids that are young. But the thing with the Hoosick Valley program, and it's been this way for quite some time now, is you don't have to take a look and see who's coming back because these kids work so hard over the summer. A lot of them play AAU. They continuously, regardless of what sport they're playing, whether it's in the summer or spring or fall sports, they always seem to pick up a basketball. And that makes a world of difference when you're trying to build a program. So Coach McGovern will build a program with those three kids. And you never know. You just never know. The eighth graders come up. Mackenzie Robinson's JV squad had an incredible season this year, from what I understand. And you never know what they have. But the dynasty, per se, if you want to call it that, Hoosick Valley, well deserved, rolls on again.
Right.
Third consecutive Massachusetts state final. Champs, co-champs, and then now runners-up.
No question about it. It's quite an achievement for the Lady Hurricanes. You know, Rick, we'll take a moment now. Let's recap in Berkshire County and in northern Berkshire especially the season for our local teams on the girls' side. And we'll start with Mount Greylock. You know, they finished with an overall record of 5-15, 3-9 in their league. But Rick, this was a team in a lot of games this year. They came up just short on a number of games.
Yeah, they did. This is one time that you can actually say and feel good about it that their record didn't indicate the way that the kids played for Coach Jacoby. They lost 5 games by a total of 19 points. Hopkins by 7, Monument Mountain by 3, Agawam twice by 6 and by 2, and then Belchertown by 1 and a heartbreaker down at Belchertown. So, you know, they were a lot closer to a 500 team, which Coach Jacoby usually gets to at the end of every year. He's got this kids playing good basketball at the end of the year, and he pretty much did the same thing this year. They just lost a lot of close ones. So, you know, I still think one of their biggest wins was a win against Drury, 39-36 over Greylock.
No question
about it. And this is the night after Drury had beaten Agawam pretty badly up at Drury, where Coach Downey said his kids played incredible basketball. So, and their kids, they bring it one night, you don't bring it one night. So, yeah, you never can tell. But Coach Jacoby, I respect him and his program and his kids over there. They're fun to watch, they're fun to cover, and he's got a pretty good nucleus coming back really next year. They were led by 9th grader in scoring, Charlotte Cooney, the only Lady Mountie averaging in double figures with almost 11. But they also have Emma Newberry, Molly Sullivan, Emma Galuli, and Jackie Brannon, all have valuable varsity experience, only losing one player this year in Tessa Levesque. So he got to feel pretty good about what he has coming back next year.
No question about it. The Mccann Lady Hornets of Mccann Tech finished with a record of 8-12. They were a team I had high hopes for as a year, and they had a solid season. Of course, they were out there leading scorer for half the season, Izzy Lacasse, who had better than 18 points a game. But this also is a team with a very bright future, Rick.
Yeah, and you and I, if we go back to early December, we decided for the first time that we would broadcast the Bucky Bullet Jamboree from Hoosick Valley High School, and we did it live. And so we got to see all the 4 schools that we cover, and boys and girls. I was very impressed with Kathy Budai's kids. And I said, boy, I had high hopes myself. But when you get a player that goes down for whatever reason, somebody's got to step up. But I think it really made sophomore center Hannah Boisver and Macy Tatro, the junior forward, a little bit better because they put some leadership and they put some scoring on their shoulders, and I think that's just going to help them next year. They do have guard Addie Heyer coming back. Addie can score. I don't think she was looking to score so much this season. I think she can score. I know she can score, and they can build their team around those three kids. And Coach Boudet always has some surprises. So, we didn't expect to see Hannah Boisvert. Again, they didn't have basketball last season, so the kids lost a year. But it's going to be very interesting. Also, they're losing Madison Clark, another guard. But I think Coach Boudet will have a nice nucleus coming back. I'm looking forward to covering the Mccann girls next year.
Right, they're going to be solid. And the team that really came on, the Lady Blue Devils, Rick, we talked so much about them in the second half of the season. They finished with a record of 13-10, 7-5 in their league. But let me tell you, I think they were the team, especially in the Western Mass Tournament, that nobody wanted to play.
Yeah, I think you're right. And sometimes it's right before our very eyes and we don't see it. I could see it. You saw it even better than I did. You on this program, you were right there, Tim. You were right there when you said, I really think third time will be the charm. I think the Drury girls are going to go down to Springfield and beat ICS down there, a team they had lost to up at Drury by 12. A game they didn't play really, really well. Played much better, losing 58-50 down in Springfield the first time. And they had the lead. Coach Downey, as he said, as our guest last week, they had a 4-point lead with about 5 minutes to go. Kayla McGrath, our outstanding senior, fouled out. And, that's no excuse, and he never made up that excuse.
Nope.
But they could have used her down the stretch, that's for sure. They did get the last shot off. It wasn't a good look, but, a bounce here, a bounce there, they certainly would have been there. But they had a real good season.
And they have that solid nucleus of players. They lose, of course, a great player in Kayla McGrath, and they're going to lose the senior Ellie Harnick, I believe, right?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah. So they're going to lose those two players, but boy, they got a great nucleus coming back.
They do. Jacinta Felix now has varsity experience. She'll be back as a sophomore. She'll play the guard position. Lauren Davis will be back as a senior. She'll play the point. Alyssa Russell, who started knocking down threes like there was nobody's business late in the season, playing with a lot of confidence,
right,
where she could go inside and outside. She's tall and lanky. She can rebound. She's going to be an incredible basketball. You watch Alyssa Russell next year. Maddie Hodling, who had a lot of issues this year, some personal issues and certainly some physical issues. She had COVID. I think she had mono, the poor kid. And she would be at all those games rooting her team on. She'd be in street clothes. What a cheerleader Maddie Hodling was for the Blue Devils. She'll be back next season. Hannah Lacasse, another sharpshooting freshman with some varsity experience. And Brooke Bishop, who is, I think, one of the best athletes up at Drury High School. An incredible softball player, incredible soccer player, and a very good basketball player. I think she's only going to get better. She can knock down her shot. She's just got to have some confidence doing it. She's got the size. She's going to play big down low next year. And I'm really looking forward to covering Coach Downey's Lady Blue Devils next season.
No question about it. Just quickly, the rest of Berkshire County, we talked about this team a lot. We saw them play Wacona. They're loaded next year. They have a lot coming back. They really have the nucleus of the team. So they're looking forward. I think they're looking forward to next year. They should have a great season down at Wacona, Rick.
They are, Tim, yeah. And their two top scorers will be back next year. Olivia Gambaroni will be a senior next year. She will be back. And Grace Wigington, who was in and out in the second half of the season with some injuries. And we'll talk about her at the very, very end of the show. But they'll both be back. Grace is only a sophomore. She'll be a junior. And I believe Emma Belcher may be just a junior, too. Eva Eberwein, I'm not quite sure. But Coach Kay is going to have the nucleus of her team back. And they're going to be a very, very powerful team next season.
For sure. Let's switch over real quick to the boys before we do our all Berkshire boys and girls teams. Running down the list of teams here quickly. Drury Blue Devils, they had a great season. They finished with that overall record of 18-6. They were the Hampshire South champions at 10-2, and they just had a great season. And Coach Reset got a lot out of this team. They came up a little short in the Division 5 tournament, but no nothing to be ashamed of there. They were knocked out by the eventual champion Maynard that you called, that you saw that game, Rick. I saw Maynard in the actual state championship game against Paula Freire. This was a well-deserving state championship team, and so Drury has nothing to be ashamed of losing to them, that's for sure.
Yeah, Drury got a lot of respect, Tim, in Pioneer Valley and also the MIA. They were in the top 3 or 4 in the state of Massachusetts in Division 5 all season long. It's like we said, the Hurricane ladies were number 1 all year long. Coach Robinson's Hurricanes were just behind the Blue Devils, but Coach Rissette's got to be very, very pleased. It was a great season. You know, it's the first full season post Scott McGuire. So
right.
when you get your all-time school leading scorer, leaving. Of course, last year again it was a different style of basketball, but I think it just made his team a little bit stronger, and they played really, really well. They were led by Louis Gelati, the junior, will be back next year, almost 21 points a game for Mookie. And Benny Moulton, 16 and a half points a game. Timmy Brazo, the third Devil in double figures, a little over 11. But I can't say enough, and I've said it many times on this show, of the guard play that maybe we didn't see the scoring as much. But what Zach Davenon, Logan Davis, and Anthony Pettingill did, and I also want to throw in there Ahmad David, who
right.
really came on,
right.
Tim, in the second half of the season.
Right.
Really pounded the boards and gave Coach Rissette some great minutes. Those kids did everything they could to add value to the team. They were as much part of that team as anybody else that we mentioned that are averaging double figures.
No question about it. And just a great season for the Blue Devils. They got a lot to look forward to next year, led by, as you said, Gelati and Amant David. So Coach Rissette will look to rebuild his backcourt, and combined with those players, they look to be, again, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in Berkshire County as well as Western Mass. Hoosick Valley, this is kind of a surprise here a little bit, Rick. They finished at 16-7. They actually won the Class D championship when they knocked off Bay State Academy, who was the #1 seed in that tournament. But the Hurricanes, under Coach Bill Robinson, had a great season. They had some big wins in the course of the season, and they should be very happy with their performance this year.
They had another incredible season under Coach Bill Robinson, and I got to tell you, they may have overachieved a little bit based on their size.
Right.
Not their basketball talent, and certainly not the coaching. It's a lot with coaching. So as much as I respect Coach Robinson and Coach Rissette, it's the seasons that Drury and Hoosick Valley had, you got to give a lot of credit to the coaches.
Right.
I know they don't dribble the basketball, they don't take offensive charges, but what they do in practice to get those kids prepared to play, the tougher teams, the Berkshire County teams, the teams over in the Pioneer Valley, Coach Rissette and Coach Bill Robinson get everything out of their kids. And so, he knows how to win, and he didn't have the size. There was no 6'5" Trevor Alabozic. There wasn't a Jamison Coughlin in there any longer. Those kids have been long graduated. So he had to do what he had to do. And Frank Field, as a sophomore, played as big as he possibly could. But you know what? When you knock down those outside shots like Carson Meswar, Joey McGovern, and Frank Field and Caleb Harrington, you got 4 kids that could throw some threes up. And
right.
when you get a good look, you run your offense properly to get some good looks, you're going to knock them down. That's when he was successful. And, congratulations on their Western Mass win. Just a good overall season. And you had Sean Kastner, who was so impressive as a defensive specialist. He kind of did what Logan Davis did up at Drury this year. He just shut the other player either down or slowed them down. And we saw that when they knocked off Wacona and what he did to Brody Calvert in that game. So, and then Mikey White coming off the bench gave him some valuable minutes. So, it's a team sport. Again, a lot to do with coaching, but what a great season for Coach Bill Robinson. And of course, our best to Frank Field with his injury, quick recovery, Frank, and looking forward to seeing you again next season.
I'm not sure other teams are, but we are. Yeah. That's for sure. Like the Lady Mounties, Rick, this Greylock boys team, they finished 16-6. They won their league at 10-0. And this was a young team. Coach Stissel has a lot to look forward to next season with this Mountie team, Rick.
Yeah, he does. Again, another incredible season, 16-6, a great record, a perfect record, winning the Hampshire North title. They may have lost to Bay State and Drury early, but then they really turned it on. They won 15 of their next 17 games. And they are very young, Tim. They have the nucleus of their team coming back next year. And I know you want to talk a little bit about the Mounties and your perspective of their coaches and what they're looking forward to next year. One of the issues that I even think the Drury Blue Devils had is did they knock off a team that may have been a little bit better than them or equal with them?
Right.
Drury had trouble with Wacona. They lost to Monument. They lost to Apollo. They were right there. They were right there.
All the time.
All the
Absolutely.
time. And it's the same thing with the Mounties, too. They have got to compete a little in the regular season, a little bit stronger, hopefully, to get them prepared for the postseason next year.
Right. I think that's the case. I think Coach Sissel, I think the MIA, we talked about this, Rick, several times throughout the course of the season. We thought the MIA did a pretty good job lining these teams up in the leagues, making them competitive, putting a good balance, and it worked pretty well. I know Coach Sissel and his staff are looking next year on their independent. I think the leagues are going to stay the same, at least for one more year. But I think Coach Sissel is looking for a little bit stronger independent schedule. Perhaps some more games with Berkshire County teams. He thinks it will benefit his squad down the road. I would tend to agree with him on it. I think you do as well.
Yeah,
and that's really the key. The key for Berkshire County teams over the years, whether it's Drury, Hoosick Valley, Wacona, they play that tough county schedule, and it prepares them for the postseason. And I think that's what he's looking for next year as his team gets a little bit older. So we'll see how that comes together. But, boy, they have a lot coming back next year, and they should be in good shape, no question about it.
Yeah, really. Their leading scorer, Chase Doyle, will be back. Max McAllister, Seamus Barnes, Jackson Powell, Jackson Chelsea. The thing about those kids I just named, they may not have averaged double figures this year, but they averaged somewhere between 7 and 9 points. So you don't always get a lot of kids in double figures. Sometimes you do. But when you get contributions from those kids, look for the same thing next year. And again, with this year of experience playing together under their belt, expect even bigger things next year for Coach Thistle's Mounties.
Mccann Tech, Rick, they finished with a 13-10 record. They were champions of the Tri-County North League with a record of 9-1. They got to the finals of the state vocational tournament. They had a great season, and there's nothing there but positive upsides for the Hornets under Coach Chris Bullitt.
Yeah, when you talk about the Mccann boys, you're almost talking about the same thing as we did about the Mount Greylock boys. They were placed by the MIA or by the Pioneer Valley in the right league. Next year we'll have to try to play up a little bit to get them prepared for the postseason. They did take it on the chin to Upper Cape Cod Tech twice in the championship game of the vocational tournament, and then again in the preliminary round of the MIA. But you know what? Coach Bullitt's kids at least got a 32 seed. That's quite favorable. That was
right.
Very good for them. And they won the Tri-County, as you said, Tim. And they're going to have to build their team around their leading scorer, Jake Howland, will be back next year. So we'll see what Coach Bullitt has. He's going to lose Owen Gagney and Cole Boysvert to graduation, but that happens to all the coaches, and we'll see what he has. But again, Coach Budai's team, they took a hit because they didn't play basketball last season. At least the other kids, even if there was a modified type way of basketball, they at least played basketball in the 2020-21 season. The Mccann did not, and so they lost a full year. The coach really missed coaching their kids. But when you build a program like that, it's hard to start up after a year off, so you got to give them a little bit of time.
No question about it. Now comes the time, Rick, when we here at High School Basketball Weekly announce our all Berkshire girls and boys teams and the all Northern Berkshire teams. And we're going to start with the all Berkshire girls team. And what a lineup this is. Rick, you look down this lineup of teams, of course, it's really senior dominated, a couple of juniors there. But I'll tell you right now, we have really had I know I've had a real blast covering these young ladies over the years. We've seen some great basketball out of them, and this is a who's who of girls in Berkshire County.
Yeah, you've got some teammates that are on there, as you can see. Avery McGrath of Hoosick Valley isn't the only one. She's out there with Rylan Whittick, and so that's pretty huge. The Wacona kids, Gambroni and Wigginty, we mentioned earlier. Aaliyah Phillips, the 1,000-point scorer from Taconic with Faith Cross. 2 from Lee, Caroline Maloney and Emma Polari. 2 kids that have been groomed by Coach Rick Polari since they were 9th graders to get their team to where he wants them, and they had another incredible season. And Jamie Duquette, one of the Duquette sisters from Pittsfield, and of course Kayla McGrath from Drury. But that's quite a lineup. Boy, would I love to coach that team.
It is, and all wonderful, wonderful young ladies. We've had a privilege of covering over the years, and this is really a stellar group. And like I said, we love to coach those young ladies. They're outstanding. For the all Northern Berkshire girls team, some of it repeating, but we've got some different names on there. And for the all Northern Berkshire girls team, you see there Gabby Bills, we talked about her. Charlotte Cootie, just a freshman, and some big things. We're looking for some big things from her, Rick. And Izzy Lacasse, the outstanding senior at Mccann Tech, of course, Avery McGrath and Kayla McGrath and Rylan Whittick. But as you pointed out in this broadcast just previously, Gabby Bills, the junior, does all the so-called dirty work for Hoosick Valley underneath the basket, a real force there. And, of course, Kayla McGrath, and of course Charlotte Cootie, the freshman, and Izzy Lacasse missed a lot of the season for Mccann, but still had a great season nonetheless.
Yeah, they all did, and I just love those kids that are up there. And I want to say one quick thing about Izzy Lacasse. She scored 737 career points, and she did it in 2.5 years.
Right.
Because she did not play her junior year, and she only played half of her senior year. So that's 2.5. Izzy does not get her name up on the 1,000-point banner, but everybody that knows her, from Coach Budai, her family, her friends, her teammates, knows that under different circumstances, and it almost happened to Maria Gambroni if they didn't have a season last year. So It's a good thing that there was a season for her senior year down at Wacona. So it isn't all about individual accolades. We have the right to make a lot about it here at High School Basketball Weekly, but these kids would rather say, I'd rather win. I'd rather get to the tournament. I'd rather do well. But great season by all those young ladies.
On the boys' side, Rick, we'll go over the All Berkshire boys, and this team here has a good mix of senior, juniors, and sophomores. In fact, this particular group features 3 sophomores in Khalil Carlson, Frank Field, and Pat McLaughlin, and what sophomores they are, no question about that. And you look down this list, and the first thing that jumps out at you is, Dustin Belcher, Coach Belcher down at Wacona, he's looking his chops for next year because he's got his major players back.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, his 2 top scorers are back, and a nucleus of his role players and his bench players are back. That's of course Pat McLaughlin and Brody Calvert. So, and of course the Taconic kids, Sandifer and Harrigan led the way all the time, all year long. Louis Gelati and Benny Moulton. So these are all standing ball players. Carson Meswer and Frank Field. I can't say enough about any of those kids. Very worthy.
Right. And the all-Northern Berkshire squad, a lot of the same names here for the boys, Rick, but we also have included in here the junior Chase Doyle down at Mount Greylock, along with Jake Holland and Timmy Brazo, very deserving. Brazo, big force underneath the basket for Coach Reset throughout the season. And of course, you look at a player like, Jake Holland at Mccann. He is going to be a real presence for them as his career goes along.
Yeah, he's going to have a great season in the next 2 years, and Coach Bill will build his team around them. But before we close, Tim, we're going to talk about the very, very quickly the Berkshire County Basketball Officials All-Star Game that was played last Friday at Wacona Regional, and as usual, and I said that off air to you, it's like watching an NBA All-Star game because there was very little defense. Coach Bill Robinson team beat Coach Joe Warren. Joe Warren's the coach from Mount Everett, 105-95.
Right.
And in that game there were 15 successful dunks, a lot of double figures. In the girls' game, Coach Polari, Rick Polari's team. Beat John Perros' team from Monument Mountain 83-73. So only the kids that didn't play were the Hoosier girls because they were getting ready for the tournament. So.
And Rick, before we close out, as usual, I want to thank our producer and director, Peter Gentile, for helping us along with Dave Fabiano through the course of the year. And I want to thank you, especially Rick, for all the work you do. Folks, I just want to tell you, High School Basketball Weekly would not be the show it is without the constant stream of information that I'm receiving every week from Mr. Bua here, who does a great job putting it all together. It's been a real blast once again doing the show and giving you our insights on the high school basketball action in Berkshire County.
Say kudos to you, Tim, a great partner in concluding our 4th season. Our thanks to Dave Fabiano and Peter Gentile and Jeff Karpaska for running the camera for us this year. And bittersweet, but everybody enjoy your summer, and we'll see you again
next season on High School Basketball Weekly. Right. Thank you.